Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Isabel. I document my journey to becoming a full-time artist and beyond on this channel. And this week I wanted to talk about something that's very dear to my heart because it defines who I am very deeply. And I might have mentioned it in passing in the vlog, but I wanted to dedicate a video to the subject. So I am a highly sensitive person, which means I was born with a highly developed nervous system. And when you have a highly developed nervous system, all the stimuli of life coming your way get experienced very deeply. And being a highly sensitive person presents some challenges, but for me, I feel like it's kind of my superpower, to tell you the truth, because being able to experience emotion deeply, I feel, is a gift. But like I said, there's pros and cons of being a highly sensitive person. Now it's a trait you're born with. It's not like a disease or anything. And about 20% of the population is a highly sensitive person, whether it's a male or female. And yeah, so I wanted to talk about it. Maybe I thought I could draw in my sketchbook and then talk about it at the same time, so you don't have to just watch my face for 10-15 minutes. So let's draw. So like I was saying, being a highly sensitive person, also referred to as HSP, is an innate neurological characteristic. So when you are an HSP, you have this enhanced sensitivity to stimuli, which includes, emotions, environments, and all the sensory experiences. So I now perceive being an HSP as this gift, but it hasn't always been the case. I haven't always felt that being sensitive was a good thing. In fact, growing up and for most of my adult life, I felt that I was flawed or something was wrong with me because sensitivity isn't something that's perceived as a strength in our society. And sensitivity does come with challenges. Having this enhanced reaction to stimuli isn't always easy. So I kind of wanted to explain the negative and positive aspects of HSP, and maybe it will give you also an insight on maybe you are an HSP and would like to know more, or maybe you know someone who is an HSP and you might understand them better. Some of the negative aspects of being an HSP is first, HSPs can be prone to anxiety and depression, and actually kind of the backstory of how I found out that I am HSP is I went through a severe depression, I want to say about 5 years ago, and that might be a story for another day. But so I went through therapy, and when I worked with a therapist, that's how I found out I'm HSP. And for me, that was such a huge pivot in how I saw myself. It really changed my whole perspective on who I am. And that's been a huge help managing my mental health and just getting a better understanding of who I am at a deep level. But yeah, so highly sensitive people, we are easily prone to anxiety because we're easily overwhelmed by external stimuli. So for instance, noises, bright lights, some environments that maybe are chaotic, or, maybe big crowds. For me, I'm really sensitive to loud noises and smells particularly. And also don't prefer big crowds, because also another thing about highly sensitive people is we feel other people's energies. It's kind of hard to explain, but so I guess the positive within the negative of this is, now that I'm aware that I'm sensitive to those things, I know how to handle them. So first of all, I don't naturally put myself in such situations where maybe I know there's going to be strong smells or like big crowds or whatever. But also if I do, because you still want to be social, obviously, and you can't control every environment unless you live in a cave somewhere. If I do come across some situations where I feel the stimuli are a little bit overwhelming, I know that I'm going to need more rest later and just maybe have some quiet time. So, learning to manage that a little bit. Another aspect that might be difficult to handle for a highly sensitive person is how to handle criticism, even if it's constructive criticism. For a highly sensitive person, that can be really hard sometimes too, because we can get our feelings hurt quite easily. And if you're not clear about what's a constructive criticism and an actual personal attack, that can be really hard to handle. I think that's something you learn along the way. And also, but I think the tricky part about that is I am my own worst critic. And especially as an artist, even if I'll get some really nice feedback on my art sometimes that I share online and I appreciate it, at the same time, my own critical voice might come in and kind of not let me enjoy this nice feeling of a positive feedback. I don't know if that makes sense. And then the last challenge that comes to mind right now on being an HSP is struggling with boundaries in relationships. I know that as I'm getting older, I am being more conscious on how I handle my boundaries with others, because as a HSP, I'm more in tune with other people's emotion. There's a lot of empathy going on. And so it's easy to become a people pleaser and maybe to put other people's needs before ours, which is not to say that obviously I like helping others, but not to the detriment of what I'm doing. I used to be like that. And now I'm way more conscious about setting boundaries with people. So this empathy and connection with other, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's one of the beautiful things of being an HSP also. It's not just a challenge, because having the ability to connect deeply with others is really, it's such a gift, I think. We can understand other people's feelings. Like you can get into a room and kind of get a feel for the vibe, and sometimes you might know how someone else is feeling without them having to say anything. Another wonderful thing about being HSPs is being naturally artistic or creative. It's because sensitivity often intertwines with creativity. So as HSPs, we have this imagination, a very rich inner world. And so often we find our way to expressing some of what we feel internally into our art. And I think that's such a gift to be able to do that. For me, making art brings me the most joy, and also is what is most authentic to me, really. Another thing with HSPs is we're able to naturally pick up on details that maybe other people don't see, whether it's you're in a room and you notice little things that maybe others won't notice, or just for me, being in nature, I like to observe details on trees, or if I find seeds or something, I always love observing that. And this heightened attention to detail makes me want to make art that's more intricate and pay attention to every stroke. And I notice when something, that's kind of the downfall too, because if I'm not happy with like a little detail in my drawing, I might just start over unless I can fix it. But yeah, so that's also kind of a double-edged sword. But it's kind of nice though to be able to appreciate life in high definition, so to speak. And let's see, I would say another great gift about being an HSP is being highly intuitive and also reflective. So this high intuition, I feel very connected to the invisible world, which might sound a little woo-woo to some of you. I've always been interested in the depth and complexity of like philosophy and like the spiritual world. And that's something I would love to be able to translate somehow into my art. I haven't really found a way there yet. I think I'm still developing my visual language, and I have to say it's been a little bit frustrating not being able to do that yet, but that's something I'm working on. I would say, to conclude, is like I was saying, for me, being a highly sensitive person is, I say jokingly, my superpower, but it's really such a gift because I'm able to really embrace those deep emotions and being able to feel emotions deeply as a soul having a human experience. I mean, what more could you want? So I feel even the hard ones, going through grief and things like that, even though those are hard emotions to go through, especially if you feel them really deeply, I still see that experience as a gift in my view, in my experience. And then when it comes to art, I feel like being an HSP gives me that edge of being in tune with beauty in the world, aesthetics, and I'm hoping to find that visual language which would help me express what I'm experiencing more into my art and being able to share it with others. And especially the subject of high sensitivity, which I think we hear more about these days, but it's still not very well understood. So my hope with this video was to share some awareness about being a highly sensitive person, and also my experience to some degree, and maybe open the conversation with others of you who might be also highly sensitive. And, and like I was saying, it's my way of bringing my most authentic self by sharing aspects of me that are very important to me. So I hope this video hasn't been too much of a ramble. I'm not really used to talking about a subject at length like that. And I hope you enjoyed watching me drawing in this new sketchbook I recently started. This is more like a sketchbook I use almost as a meditation. So the drawings are like more finished drawings. I take my time to draw. And lately I've been using pen, but also I took out my colored pencils again and kind of mixing the two, experimenting, and kind of see where it goes. Now, if I'm honest, this cycle of experimentation, I think, needs to end soon because I feel like I've been experimenting a lot in the last year, but I'm really eager to settle on something. But I think this October, because I'm participating in a couple art challenges and I'll be drawing a lot, maybe I'll get to that point of finding my, my style or something. I don't know. That's an ongoing conversation, I guess. So I'm gonna leave the video here. I'll let you watch the end of my drawing, and I'll see you next week in a new vlog. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments if you are highly sensitive, or maybe you know someone who is. I'm also gonna leave some resources in the description below on highly sensitive people. And yeah, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, and I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye.